really excited today because we've got a huge lineup going on. I've got a pre-show with my good friend here, Donnie Rosa. You can say hi and we'll get into a little bit more about who she is. But following our pre-show at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, he's a medical director. He's a practicing ER physician. He's the guy that's helping guide our industry when it comes to the medical component, like the tip of the spear from my perspective. Dr. Justin Semsrod. He's going to have a COVID conversation with us and talk to us about what we need to know. We've all got 1,000 questions with what's going on. So as you're joining us, type in the box your name and where you're from. We want to know where everyone's tuning in from so we can see who's joining us. But as I said, joining me today is Donnie Rosa. Donnie, thank you so much for joining and being a part of the conversation today.
Thanks, Joey. It's always great to connect with you.
Yeah, so full disclosure, we're friends, and we met through a professional environment. She used to be the director in an organization that we worked for, and then we've stayed in contact. She's been a great mentor of mine throughout my career. But can you just give everyone watching, looks like people already know who you are in the chat, but an update kind of about your role now. I know you're a general manager now, and some of the things outside of like the professional world. I know you're involved in the nonprofit too. Give us the elevator speech on who you are.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm proud to be the general manager of Parks, Rec, and Culture for the city of Coquitlam. And prior to that, I moved to the West Coast, to Vancouver, to work for the Vancouver Park Board. Before that, I was in Ontario. So I've been in BC now 3.5 years, and most of my career was in Ontario. I'm also the president-elect for BCRPA, which is the BC Rec and Parks Association. And really, probably one of my most important claims to fame is that I got to present at an aquatics conference once with you.
Yeah,
Co-present.
that was awesome. So I'm really excited because, Donnie, we've been talking so much about standards and what's going to happen. When are we open? When are we not? We're all affected with the reality. Some of the people watching might have been laid off. Many are still working. And we're kind of complaining or reactive to what's coming down from management. And I thought your perspective in the pre-show would be great because you're at that administration level. You're really balancing service to the community and safety to the community and that perspective. So it's going to be great to have your perspective throughout this conversation. Have you kind of been like, oh crap, in this role with all this happening? Like, are you weathering kind of the crisis well? Kind of where are you at in your life with this?
Yeah, Joey, I think we've all been a little bit of that. This is brand new for every single one of us. So as much planning and preparing as you do, this is a new world. That said, I see this as an opportunity for us to do a number of things, and that is to kind of clean up that back of house that you haven't had a chance to clean up before, and get to those projects. And our goal, I think, should be as an entire sector is to come back better when we come back. And there's a lot of things we're going to have to do to plan to do in order to be that. But yeah, there's pressures. I mean, the community, in some places, 40-50% of the community, they've also lost their jobs. So we have to be responsible. We can't be seen to be out there just wasting taxpayers' money. We have to be responsible and accountable, and decisions are tough to make. And we have to just really look at our service and what needs to be done right now differently.
And when you think about it, like, I mean, it's awful what's going on, but it's kind of a gift in some ways, because when do we get some focused time to work on updating a policy or that handbook we've always looked at and been like, oh, I wish we could update that. So that project work is good. Should people be really waiting for direction, or should they just be taking initiative from your perspective in this? Because I think you guys are busy. People might be waiting to be told what to do. What's your advice to those kind of frontline management team members watching us today?
Yeah, and I think my advice is absolutely do not wait. Absolutely be the one that comes forward with ideas and suggestions, and just make sure that the ideas and suggestions you're coming forward with aren't just aquatics related, but you have to keep the whole picture in mind, the whole global picture in mind when you're coming forward with, hey, what should I be doing right now? And what could we as an organization be doing right now? And then there's a number of things, and I know we'll get into it, that we can be doing to be of assistance, but also to keep the aquatics industry, to keep the parks and rec industry thriving.
Yeah, so let's just take a quick pause and welcome people joining us. I'm seeing people from Idaho. I'm seeing people from Oxford, in Ohio. We have Owen Sound, Ontario. We have BC. As you're joining us, Washington, please put your name. Let us know where you're joining us from. I did want to quickly add some quick thank yous as well. I want to thank Jen Lilly. She's the executive assistant for Lifeguard Authority. She's going to be helping monitor the chat and connect people with links. And Rupin, I think you remember Rupin. He worked camps way back when we worked together, and he's doing a backup recording in case this one doesn't work. So thank you, Rupin. He's been doing a great job in the aquatics industry covering conferences. So Donalyn, I want to go back to kind of this idea of this being an emergency that we're not prepared for. I know that in recreation departments, we have emergency measures kind of plans. We do talk about what if scenarios. I know that rinks are good morgues if something bad happens, and pools are fresh water. We have shelter in place. So we have a whole department in cities that plan for this. Has this been a what if scenario in your role in these senior leadership roles that you've been exposed to? Have we talked about pandemics? Do we have a playbook for this, or are you making this up as we go to a point? What's your experience been to prepare you for this?
Yeah, I think we every day is like a week during this pandemic, in my opinion, and certainly things change that quickly. In the West Coast here, we plan for earthquakes and we plan for sea level rise, and probably earthquake planning is the closest that I can relate to this because it's expected to be longer term. When we had SARS, that was pretty quick compared to this, obviously. I remember, the train derailment in Mississauga, and that was relatively short compared to this. So this long-term planning is something that, for me personally, um, uh, is new thinking, and I think it's really important that your leadership teams, your EOC, are communicating, but we also need to make sure that we understand right to our front line what is the impact and what's going on, and how can we leverage those folks to be ambassadors during this time. And there's a lot that we can do to help to ease the calm in the community or ease the angst in the community. Is it absolutely, are we winging it? No, we have a lot of plans in place, but is this brand new territory for us all? Absolutely.
I like what you're talking about community there, because there's been these like wonderful moments of community that have come out of this crisis. And isn't that the truth, right? Sometimes true character shows. We were just, for everyone watching, doing a quick technology test yesterday. And Donnie's like, hold on, Joey, it's 7 o'clock. And I'm like, yes, it's 7 o'clock. You're like, we bang our pots and pans for our frontline professionals. So tell us kind of what happens at 7 o'clock and what it feels like where you're from.
Sure. Well, definitely here in the West Coast, and I think it's bigger than Vancouver. I think it's gone out to BC, but if it hasn't, it should, and it should spread across the country. That at 7 o'clock, we all go out on our front porch or on our balconies and bang our pots and pans to honor the frontline workers. And it just sort of shows you. You hear the noise off in the distance, and you go, wow, like everybody is impacted by this. Everybody, not just my neighbors, not just my friends, but everybody. And we're all just doing the best we can. And hearing those pots and pans is it's like music to my ears because it makes me realize I'm not alone here. We're not alone. So it's pretty magical.
And just a few people started it and it spread. I think that's
Yeah.
great. Here
Yeah.
around my neighborhood, their EMS services are all pooling together and they're doing big drive-bys, all the different hospitals, different days to really lift their spirits, because I can't imagine like how draining this must be. No days off, probably, just working hard. So, very much appreciated. And we have a doctor joining us today, which is great to take time, but what he's been dealing with day in and day out must be tough. and around the world it's that scene. So it's great to have those moments of uplift. So what are we learning from this though? So we're going to look back when we get through this and we're going to say, what do we need to change moving forward? Obviously, we talked about plans changing. What are some other elements that you think were changing? One I was thinking about is facility design. So I'm so much more aware of other countries. They're like Singapore has handled this so well. And in all the news, they've got huge long trough sinks for everyone to like wash their hands. And I was thinking, you know what? We have camp programs in so many cities, and like they never wash their hands before lunch, which is really just bad hygiene. So maybe we need to look. And one of the frontline recommendations for this crisis is continually wash your hands. And I'm thinking we have facilities that run these types of programs. Maybe we need to be designing them differently with the ability for big groups of public and children to be washing their hands when they enter a building or, you know, between program transitions. Do you think we're going to see some change in how we build or operate our buildings moving forward?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think we have to, definitely in how we operate them and possibly in how we build them. Um, I know right now, I've always been an advocate for aligning with the health authority in terms of the benefits of parks and recreation to the community. And so now's the time to align even more. You know, one of the things I've heard is that, well, it's really tough to keep kids physically distant, so you need to sanitize them. You need to make sure that, you know, I envision the showers now being sanitizer, but maybe not that drastic. But you're right. We need to build that into our practices, which you made the point. We should be doing that anyway. It's actually just good hygiene. But I think we'll all be hyper aware now. And I think that now's the time for us to be spending to look at, you know, I know we're looking at how will kids use playgrounds? How will we open our outdoor pools in July? How will we do, you know, the admission? How will we guard this? How will we behave so differently? You need to almost walk through from, you know, it's almost like your customer service moment. You know, when they park, what does that look like? When they're walking through the doors, what does that look like? And when you're interacting with them, when they're leaving, all of those things, at least for the next while, and who knows how long. It's going to be different if we want to be open and be open successfully. And Joey, you talked about connection to community. The community needs to trust that we're a safe place for them to be. They need to trust that we've done our homework to make sure that our amenities, our facilities, our programs are safe. And so you and me and all of our staff, we need to make sure that we're modeling this behavior. We can't let our guard down. And you know, in the lifeguard world and in the aquatics world, you're always on top of that. And all of us can take a page from that. You know, you need to be on top of it. Safety has to be the priority.
So I want to break that down further in just a second about what that trust looks like and how we build that with them. But I quickly want to cut to everyone joining. If you're just joining us now, tell us where you're joining us from. Give us your name. I see Seattle. We've got Southern California. We've got Vegas. That's great. Let us know that you're joining us. We do have Dr. Justin Samsrot joining us. And I guess just over 15 minutes, we're just doing a pre-show. I'm here with a good friend, Donnie Rosa, who's a general manager of a suburb just outside of Vancouver. And we're just talking from her perspective, from the administration perspective, and I have you on camera, so I'm going to throw some hardballs at you coming up here because I can, about your perspective and kind of what you're bringing. But we were just talking about trust in the community and what that looks like. So someone posted in our group a new sign that kind of said, you know, this space has been cleaned. How do we do that? How do we get our community, the guests coming in our facility, to build that difference of trust so that they can feel safer in that space? So I thought that was a great example. I don't know if you have any ideas about just changing our signage. I know in the past, those little, I've cleaned the bathroom last at this time, people might look at them, might not. They might not always have been filled out, but I imagine when we come back, if that bathroom hasn't been cleaned on that checklist, people are going to be causing an uproar. So
Yeah.
quality assurance checks. From your perspective, what do you think some of that might look like and what we can do to make that change happen?
Sure. Joy, I've always been a fan of cleaning while we're operating, and not necessarily, in the washroom and stuff, but let's clean while we're open. People love to see the facility being cleaned. So many places they don't clean until after it's closed or when people aren't around. Forget about that. I want to see all these touch points being cleaned. I want to see, that someone's in there cleaning. And quite frankly, and this, Joey, from me, cleaning doesn't belong to one group of people.
Yes.
It's everybody's responsibility. And when I ran a facility, I picked up a mop as quickly as I, worked in the back office, and I'm not suggesting that we take other people's jobs, but what I'm saying is we all have a role to play, and the community needs to see that. I think signage is helpful, but if I saw somebody cleaning it, I would be more impressed. And I think that, we need to listen to our community. People want to tell you how they feel about our spaces, about our programs, about our staff. And we need to acknowledge that. So if people have ideas, hear those ideas and act on them. We should have places where people feel safe. And maybe one day it won't have to be part of our discussion, but it should always be part of how we offer our services.
And I think it's going to be that culture, because there might be a past mindset of this is my job, that's your job. But what we're talking about is this idea that we all need to own the space that we're providing a service in. So I, at the front desk, need to make sure that I'm sanitizing this desk throughout the day, cleaning the pin pad, so our guests can see that throughout the day, and not just your job's cleaning, my job's this, but really we need to shift the culture that this is all of our responsibilities to keep a clean and safe environment. And I think we can maybe even start some of those messages now through some digital connection points with our team. So that's a really good point. It's going to be weird, because I was thinking a lot of the countries around the world are using masks just in day-to-day life, right? When you go out, and I imagine that we're going to see that in North America as well. And I was just kind of reflecting that so much expression is through our mouth and our face, and it's going to even be harder with service if we're always talking through a mask to communicate as effectively. So even just those parts of service is going to be a big change and a big shift of change. And I'm leading up to my question here, which is the new reality is going to be change. What we knew before is going to be different. And then that change is going to change and change and change by the week, by the month, who knows, as we get direction from experts. You've gone through change and managed change in your career. What advice do you have for the audience today about thriving, not surviving in this continuous change environment?
Yeah. Joey, you keep mentioning other countries, and I think that is so important. Making sure that we understand what's going on around us, and taking best practices. I think that connecting with your local Parks and Rec Association. So if you're in BC, connect through BCRPA. Find out what's going on. Your local, provincial bodies are doing all they can, and so is CPRA, doing all they can to understand this change and to help us through this. We've had lots of forums where people are connecting just to have conversations and sharing ideas right now. Sharing ideas. We're an industry, we're a sector that's just changing so drastically, as are so many. We need to pivot. We need to embrace this change and look at it as an opportunity to be better. The world's not going to be the same for a long time, but you can be at the forefront of this change, or you can be sitting back and missing out and not making changes. But people are going to be looking for that, and I think really important: connect with your community, and connect with your collective community, your aquatic community, but also listen to what are they doing in parks that's different, what are they doing in programming that's different, that you can learn from and that you can share your ideas. And a good example is, we have folks out in parks now who are helping to enforce the physical distancing, because people are getting out to parks and we want them out there. We want them out there safely. We want them to feel comfortable there. So while you're out there, enforcing physical distancing, make sure that you're an ambassador for your community. Maybe do some garbage picking while you're out there. Like, multitask. It's not just a singular task anymore. You need to be an ambassador for the whole city and for the health and wellness, really, of all of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it starts with us. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? With coming up with these ideas and communicating them. I love that. So I'm just checking the chat. Donnie, we have Nassau, Bahamas joining us. How cool is that? Dream
Nice.
awesome place. Hopefully you guys are well there. I actually recently was on a Stargard Elite Camp cruise, and one of our stops was in Bahamas, and I got to go down the North America's tallest water slide with a bunch of aquatic professionals from the Bahamas. It was super cool. Reading the chat, I understand that the title was Testing Tech for Friday. I have updated that. I'm using a third-party software. So in the chat, if you can let me know if that shows as an updated title, it should say a COVID conversation. Let us know where you're coming from. Type your name, type where you're from. And I'm for those who are just joining us, I'm live here with Donnie Rosa. She's from Vancouver. She's a general manager in recreation. And we're just talking about what's happening now from a new perspective, from that administration lens, from what we're looking to with change in the future. But I want to share with you that we had a photo competition leading up to this, Donnie. And so a member of our group, Kim, she posted a photo competition a little while ago, and I was inspired by it. So then I matched it. She donated $50 to the winner. So I ran another one and said, post your old lifeguard uniform, your old certs, your old, any pictures of nostalgia, because everyone's cleaning their houses. And I noticed on your Facebook, you guys did some spring cleaning there yourself. So it was great to see everyone's thing, and special thanks to Kim for helping out with this, and for everyone in their submission. I couldn't pick a winner, so I delegated that to Kim and said, thanks for the idea. You can pick the winner now and let her stress about that. So I'm pleased to announce this is, well, let me not tell the winner first. I'll tell the runner-up, the honorable mention. So the honorable mention goes to Juanita Bushleb. She's in Canada. So this was in her stairwell from the, I actually know Juanita, so it's funny that she has this. It's a thing that someone made her. That's a lifeguard that she's got in her house, which is really cool. And then she's got something up on the wall there as well that's aquatic related. So that was the honorable mention. And then the winner is, let me just get the name before I post it up, Kimberly Little. And this is from Kimberly. So let me just get the details here. This is a lifeguard uniform circa 1930s. So I don't know where you got this or if this was passed down. That is really, really interesting. So Kimberly Light, you are, or Little, sorry, you are the winner. You're gonna have to message me on Facebook or post the charity of your choosing, and Lifeguard Authority will be making a $50 donation for your great work with digging this this beauty up. So thank you for sharing that with us. And again, thanks for the idea, Kim, with all of that. So our winner is Kimberly. So if you know her, tag her, let her know to let us know for the charity of choice. So thank you. All right. So I want to, we've got just a few more minutes here, Donnie, and I want to ask you, since I have you here, let me just close this. I'm a bad multitasker. Oh, now we're all up. Hold on. Hide. So I want to talk to you about aquatics. You just came from Vancouver, and your aquatic portfolio there was like insane. You have a pool that's 130 meters long. What was that? How long was that?
Yeah, Kitsilano pool, 132.5 meters long, and it's overlays. The backdrop is the ocean and the mountains. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. And then the beauty about out here in BC, Coquitlam as well, we have beautiful outdoor settings for our pools, and our season is long.
And it just must be paradise, your pools, with what's going on. So you've been in many organizations with many, many different aquatic facilities. You're not an aquatics person yourself. Has your perception of aquatics changed? Because one thing we struggle with as frontline operators is this thought that they just don't get it. They like management, they don't get the risk. They don't get what we do. Some decisions come down and we're like, oh my gosh, they just don't get it. So why do we feel that way? Do some people not get it? Did you not get it? Did it change for you? Can you just like share a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, Joey, I grew up swimming. I grew up with around water all the time. So for me, I went to my Bronze Cross. Swimming was, always being in and around water was always important to me. When I was responsible for operating a facility, I realized I don't know the safety around water. And so I was lucky enough to work with Juanita, who your runner up and your mentor. And I actually co presented with her. And it essentially was how to speak aquatic, leadership, how to speak aquatic safety to a manager. And well, on the one hand, there were times when, it would be like, oh, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And I'd be like, I need to understand this, Juanita, in the perspective of the whole facility. Is this more important than this, and this?
Right.
And I think the critical thing is that you communicate with a broader mind. You communicate to help people understand. I went and took a certified pool inspector, certified pool operator, because it was an area I wasn't comfortable in. I learned about the things that I could do when walking by the pool deck. So we had a whole training course around, okay, if I'm responsible, what should I look for as a non-aquatic person? So I learned things about, you shouldn't buddy guard, and definitely learned what I should do if somebody had their phone out on their lap, in the day. And honestly, these things rarely, if ever, happened. But I knew then that I had a role that I could play when I was manager on duty, that if I went to the aquatic setting, that it wasn't just going there and not knowing what was going on. I at least had some training. I could look for, quals on the board. And it at least gave me the vernacular. It gave me some comfort level. So anything you can do to help your managers and your leaders to be comfortable in that setting. And I'll say the other thing too is, the only reason I ever lose sleep in my role is because I worry that in the aquatic world something is going to go wrong. And I think it's so important that our aquatic folks demonstrate the professionalism that they demonstrate, the accountability, the training that goes on, the professionalism. I'm always impressed. And then I'm always at ease once I hear all of that and once I learn it. And being able to go and see it in action is even better. So as a non-aquatic person, I have tremendous respect for what goes on in the aquatic world. But if I don't understand it at all, it's up to you to help me understand that, I guess.
And I think people need to just be more confident in helping manage up and to, in a non-threatening way, help educate those that might not know. Because hearing what you said, you get it from my perspective, and it's refreshing to hear that. So hopefully that spreads and we have more and more of that in our communities so that we can work more collaboratively instead of, in some areas I hear that there's some friction. So kudos to you for getting it, and thank you for your leadership and your volunteer work that you're doing outside of your professional career to support our industry. And personally, thank you. You've been a great mentor of mine. Thanks for presenting with me way back when to help give me my kickstart. We did superheroes, and I've carried on that theme with many of my presentations. So we're just getting ready to start here with Justin. I'm just going to do a couple updates with everyone, but I did want to say thank you one last time. And it's been great having you. So I'm going to pop you back into the green room. Everyone say thanks to Donnie for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Joey.
So we're going to go live in just a minute here with Justin. I wanted to do an introduction with that. I understand that we're having some challenges with the title on the group. I apologize. I'm using the same one. I've changed the title. It doesn't seem to be working. So if you can just post in the group if you're hearing this, that's the one that they need to join. I know it's live because you're all joining us, which is great. So I apologize for that little hiccup there. This is a lessons learned as we explore this new live technology that we're using. So as you're joining us, thank you for coming on for a COVID conversation. I'm just about to add in Justin. I see him there in the green room ready to join us. And thank you for all of you for your comments and everything that you've been contributing to the Lifeguard Authority Group. It's been great to see all the different ideas and courses. I want to throw some special shout outs to the Redwoods group. They're doing a chat on Thursdays, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are coming out to that, where they're talking about different things coming up in the industry and taking questions and bringing in different perspectives and thoughts. Katie Crysdale, I want to say big thank you to you with the Kool-Aid series. She's been putting this together. It's not easy to get that up and running. So like twice a week, I believe it is. She's got lots going on. So check out Lakeview Aquatic Consulting. Jen, our team member with Lifeguard Authority, is going to be putting some links as we go through the chat in the box for you guys to link to that. And to all of the agencies out there that are putting some content out and supporting us in the industry, thank you for that. I am excited that we have Justin here. I was welcomed to listen in on one of the conversations that Stargard Elite was having with their clients. And Justin was taking questions and helping them. And this type of direction and information is really helpful to us. So I wanted to say great work on that. Justin, I know you can hear me. We've had over 500 people join this group just knowing that you're coming to chat. So that's been great. So I'm going to add you up here, Justin, so we can get going. And your